last part I want to talk about is who were the parties speaking to, right? In my opinion, I think the Democratic National Committee in their convention was trying to speak to the American people, trying to appeal to their sense of decency. I honestly don't think the convention wanted to focus too much on policy positions. There were bits and pieces here where they talked about what they cared about. AOC, in her minute that she got, spoke about progressive policies that she's about, and gave the sense that in the Biden presidency she'll be pushing to get those progressive voices heard and those policies.
And also, she was talking about how Bernie started it, and
yes, yeah.
they had Bernie later on speak on how you should vote.
Right.
Biden, so I get where they definitely did that with the progressive side, and then I'm assuming you were going to talk about with the Republican side. They talked about, look, they're not talking about policies; they're just talking about this guy is not the guy to.
Right,
that's going to be in our best interest.
But the other thing I was going to say to that is actually that yes, the Democrats talked about policy, but I think they didn't want to focus too much on policy. At the end of the day, I think the messaging was Donald Trump is an existential threat. Mm-hmm. He's the diminished our standing in the world, and another 4 years of him would take us to a place that is that we can't come back from. I think that's what they were trying to. They were appealing to our sense of decency rather than, hey, this policy position, are you for this or for that? Because at the end of the day, with this guy, it's not about policy. So I got that from DNC. Speak to the American people, appeal to decency. From the RNC, except for a few occasions, including the wheelchair-bound guy from North Carolina. I think he's like 24 years old, 25. Cawthorn.
He stood up, right?
Yeah, he stood up on that thing because he was saying, "I stand for the flag." So, so that guy, Madison Cawthorn, I think is his name. He spoke to the American people, trying to say the Republican Party is the party of MLK and all that stuff. Okay. Yeah, right. I know. So he spoke to all of that, but he was trying to speak to the American people to say that join us and all that stuff. Other than him and maybe a couple of other exceptions, all the speakers were speaking to Donald Trump. That's who their audience was. There was a lot of "Thank you, Mr. President." It's like they all got that same message that you have to show due deference. You have to kiss the ring and tell him thank you every freaking time, including down to having that naturalization ceremony in the White House so he can use it as a campaign video. And then, have those people be like, thank you. And then you'll go around like, yeah. And then they'll say thank you. Like, all right, cool. And then go, it was blatant, it was brazen, it was disgusting. And it was just to him, like, we are your people and we are your party. Do with us as you wish. So that's the messaging I got from the RNC. What did you think?
So with the Democrats, I got more of a sense of the same thing you said, not really much speaking on policy, but speaking to decency. Because I think they mentioned decency, back to decency, one or two times at least.
Yeah, that was one of the through lines throughout the convention.
Yeah, and then they were talking about the danger of Donald Trump's presidency, right? From Bernie Sanders talking about another 4 years of him is dangerous. He's the most dangerous modern president. Michelle Obama talking about having anger. For the first time I've ever really heard anger in her voice when she was talking about Donald Trump. Barack Obama was doing the same thing. You could see he was a little bit trying to be, very serious with it, which I guess kind of, now that I think about it in hindsight, maybe that was the point, is because he wasn't using his usual charm, I don't think, that he has in his speeches. He was being serious, basically showing the seriousness.
Like, this is a dire situation.
Exactly. And then so it was, and what I liked about him, I did like about the Democratic part was everybody talked about that. But Biden didn't really talk about that. He didn't talk about too much about the danger of a Donald Trump presidency. He talked about, this is who I am.
Mm-hmm.
So this is who I'll be.
He let the others do the attacking, and it's
exactly.
like, and now let me show you who I am.
Himself. Exactly. Yeah. He humanized himself and said, look, this is who I am. So this is why I'm going to fight for you. That to me was actually very good. That was a very good part, that very good thing that they did. And then one thing that, so we could talk about Andrew Cuomo. Cuomo was talking about how they responded to the coronavirus. And they had that graph. That graph was very telling. The one where they had like all the cases from New York and how they went down, which basically gave you the notion of, I did this. I'm a Democrat. Biden's a Democrat. This is what we're going to do for the whole entire country.
Right.
So that was the only one that I would say really spoke on policy, because it was talking about the pandemic, which is honestly the biggest thing during this entire presidency, right? This is a weird presidential run, because the fact of the matter is we don't really know what the major platform would have been. I honestly think it would have been healthcare, but because of the coronavirus became the major platform, the major speaking point that people are talking about. So Andrew Cuomo kind of illustrated that. So he illustrated more. He did illustrate that part of policy, I think. But everybody else spoke on the humanism of Biden, how he's a decent man. And then the other people talked about another 4 years of Trump is a danger to our entire society. And even, I kind of had the sense that they were saying even the world, but they didn't just flat out say that, but they were just basically saying this is an issue. And then I don't know, didn't somebody say something about restoring our image around the world?
I think a couple of people said that. Yeah.
So that's kind of like speaking on that, as just basically showing how Trump has not made us great. He's actually made us worse.
And that does show kind of a contrast between globalism and nationalism.
Yeah.
Like realizing that you need allies in order to be the powerhouse that America is supposed to be.
I mean, not only that, but also you got to think about the fact is we export half of our crap. So I mean, we have to have we have to be in good relations with other people, right? Yeah. And then as far as the Republican side, it's just what we've been saying this whole entire video. It was nationalism, speaking to Trump mostly, and it was just feeding off the rabidism of his base, of how obsessed they are about him. And that's why all the speakers were speaking to Trump, because also I'm pretty sure a lot of his followers were looking at them speaking to Trump and saying, oh, that person is speaking to Trump for me.
Yeah, and I think a lot of these people are in races in which they could lose. A lot of these people that went to go speak at this thing, and they've made the calculation that because like in South Carolina, for instance, and I don't think Lindsey Graham spoke at the convention unless it was a video clip or something. In South Carolina, Lindsey Graham is he's in a dead heat with Jamie Harrison, but he's polling worse than Trump is in South Carolina.
Oh, wow.
Which means that the Republican voters see space between Graham and Trump. They feel like Graham is not Trumpian enough.
Oh, okay.
And I feel like a lot of these people that are running in these races fear that same thing. So they have to show the base that, hey, we love the master as much as you do. So if you're going to vote for Trump on the ticket, also cast your vote for me. And I think that might explain why they're going so heavy talking to Trump. Because honestly, as a national strategy to try and win the general election, it makes little sense to be talking to the candidate instead of the people that are supposed to vote for the candidate. But as a keep my Senate seat, keep my congressional seat strategy, that kind of makes sense, because they're like, okay, I know I need the Republican voters to think I am all behind this guy to win, so I'm just gonna lick some boots. Yeah, so it was weird. It was Orwellian almost.
All right. But anyways, yeah. Man, God bless you that you listened to almost the entire Republican National Convention.
It was all for this.
Yeah. Do you want to quickly talk about the last scene of Donald Trump's speech?
Yeah. So okay. So Trump.
Paint the picture for those who haven't seen it.
All right. So to give you a contrast to what normally happens, right? Normally a convention is in a neutral spot. The party will probably pick a state that they feel like is a swing state, a state that they could win, and they'll pick the city in there, and they'll do it in a big convention center, right? So they have people do their roll calls and stuff. And the last night, the top of the ticket does his acceptance speech. Obviously, we're in the era of COVID, so normal things can't take place as we're used to. The Republican National Convention was going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina. The governor of North Carolina said, like, we don't want a COVID hotspot here. And then they had said, okay, they were going to do it in Jacksonville, Florida. The Trump campaign came out maybe a month ago to say that actually they're not going to do that because of coronavirus concerns. I'm guessing the governor of Florida was like, bro, please don't add any more to this. So instead, they did a pseudo virtual convention where they had most of the speakers speak from the hall where it looks like it's where the Lincoln Memorial is in DC. So, public land that is paid for by tax dollars. So that was going on throughout the convention, all culminating in this speech of the president that's taking place in the Rose Garden in the White House, the people's house, house that is funded by taxpayer money, in direct violation of the Hatch Act of not mixing public property and public lands to further your political gain. That's a paraphrasing, but it's basically what it boils down to.
Now, I did quickly look up the Hatch Act, and there is something about presidents kind of being
exempt from that.
It says right here, its main provision prohibits civil service employees in the executive branch of the federal government, except the president and vice president, from engaging in some forms of political activity. But that's still in violation of the Hatch Act if they were doing it at the Lincoln Memorial.
Okay. So, yeah. And Pompeo, the Secretary of State, spoke from Jerusalem.
Yeah, and that now they're saying that is possibly because he was doing actual.
He's a cabinet official doing work in that capacity.
Exactly.
Speaking as a political operative. So anyway, so he's now done this speech in front of the White House. He turns around and he's like, look at this. Like, this is our home turf type of thing. He has his entire family come up to the stage, all of them. By the way, Barron Trump is tall as all heck. The kid is 14 years old and he's taller than Donald Trump.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, he's tall. Like, I get he's half Slovenian, and I made the joke about this dude looks like Luka Doncic.
Hey, might want to look at the milkman.
No, come on. So anyway,
I'm messing.
So you had the whole family standing up there. They were looking. One of the grandkids is like, looking back, and then it's like, no, like, turn that way, because I think he wanted that landscape photo of the entire Trump family like that to show that we are here, we are your royal family. What are you gonna do about it? And then they had this guy, Great Value Pavarotti, singing opera like from up there, and then they had the fireworks going across I think it was the Washington Monument that you could see.
Yeah, the tall pointing monument.
Yes.
And it goes around and around, and the thing is, though, the crazy part to me is this goes on for 5 minutes.
Yes,
like the fireworks keeps going on.
This is extensive. It's like an extensive amount of time of just this going on, and I was like, this is weird. Like, why is this happening right now?
You know what this reminded me of? It reminded me of a scene from Man in the High Castle.
The Amazon show.
The Amazon show, which is about the Nazis one.
Yeah.
And it's not because the Nazis won. It was just because there's a lot of scenes of nationalism in that show.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what that shows me. And then I'm like, they're trying to paint themselves as monarchs, and they're trying to paint themselves as, you know, the royal family. But and then we just had literally a week's worth of speeches about him, not about his policies,
about him,
not about the country, the state of the country, about him.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just, yeah, it was so when I originally watched this, Zeno told me to watch it until the end. So I watched it until the end, but my clip was just the end. Like, it was just a speech and then it was over. It was like, no, it's not that. It's like immediately after, I was like, oh, I heard about the fireworks. So I typed in fireworks in YouTube and, you know, with Trump's speech. And then I looked at it. And then when I looked at it, I'm just like, I was thinking that the music was separate. I didn't realize that the singer
was there. Yeah.
And then not only that, but you know what it gave me this feeling of is like, am I watching like a fireworks 4th of July show? Like,
yes, exactly. It was like that thing that he wanted when he wanted the military parade to go across. It's like, yeah, because he had seen that on like Bastille Day or something, and the North Koreans doing that for Kim Jong-un, and he's like, you know, I like that. Like, I want something like that here.
It's basically showing, I am America.
Yeah.
Vote for me, you're voting for America.
Yeah.
He's literally trying to put himself to, when you think of America, you should think of Donald Trump.
Yeah. It left a bad taste in my mouth. After a week of just tasteless things.
Yeah.
It was like, this is the tip. Yeah. The icing on the crap cake. So I think that's as good a place as any to wrap it up.
Yeah.
This is our convention on the convention special. Better name, tentative. Thanks for listening. Yeah, you like the name. I'm sure this is the 9th in a series of videos, because this is going to be cut up pretty extensively. But thanks for joining us on our discussion about the Republican and Democratic National Conventions. The next special will probably be about
like and subscribe debates. Is what I'm trying to say.
Oh yeah, we'll probably have a special on the debates at some point, and we'll have our regularly scheduled programming at some point. If there are debates, yeah.
Because Nancy Pelosi is saying that Biden shouldn't.
Yeah, I don't think they'll stop it. They'll have the debates. She's just talking. But if they do have debates, we'll definitely have specials on that, and then we'll have our regular episodes about other things like pop culture.
And I want to real quickly, if they do have debates, I really want to say real fast, there seems to be a lot of people who seem to think that Biden will get slaughtered in the debate.
Wrong.
I don't think so.
Wrong.
Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think Biden's going to slaughter Trump off the bat.
I don't think Biden's a great debater, but against Trump, nah.
Yeah.
Nah. Yeah. Trump didn't have a single good debate against Clinton, not one. So
he had the great, I still should have won.
Right.
Such a nasty woman.
So,
but Biden does that kind of stuff too. He does the off the cuff kind of like remarks himself. So
yeah, but it's not locker room talk type of talk. Yeah. So anyway, so we'll have our regular episodes forthcoming. Just be on the lookout for that. But thank you for joining us, and have a great weekend.
Peace out.